This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, and especially at the moment, I do hope you're well. So, what we're going to talk about today then? Well, today I thought I'd tell you about 5 of what I consider to be great sleeper albums. These are albums that tend to fly below the radar a little bit, and that's because either the artist or band in question just isn't that well known, or maybe they are well known, but these albums are often overshadowed by more famous, more recognised albums that person or band has released. So, let's get straight into it with the first one.
One Hopeful Road by Vintage Trouble.
Indeed. Now, this is an album that I would have missed out on entirely if, back in 2015 when it came out, if I hadn't been watching Coronation Street with the missus, because in the ad break, in the middle of the show, this album had an advert devoted to it, and just the 30-second ad that I saw made me want to go out and buy the album immediately, so I did. It's a fantastic amalgam of blues, soul, and just great bluesy rock. From the foot-stomping boogie of a tune like Angel City, California, through to the gorgeous Otis Redding-inspired tune From My Arms. Every track on this album is an utter gem. The moment you press play, you're not going to have to go near that skip button, I promise you. It is just 42 minutes worth of heartwarming, fluent, inspirational, great music, and you could do a lot worse than checking this one out. As with all of these albums, I'm linking to at least one track down in the description below, so check it out, see what you think, and be interested to know what you think. So that's that one. Next.
Stage Struck by Rory Gallagher.
Yes, indeed, a Rory Gallagher live album. Now, it's not exactly unknown, to be honest with you, this album, but it is, as I said in the intro, often overshadowed by its more famous siblings of Rory's live albums, Live in Europe from 72 and the Irish tour from 74. Those albums are a bit more of the bluesy Rory, where this is more of the kind of foot-stomping blues rock Rory. There is some absolutely rip-snorting good guitar playing on this album, and it is a huge sounding album for just like a 3-piece band, you know, guitar, bass and drums. For me, it's just the epitome of what power trio rock should sound like, and there's, you know, so many great songs on here, but for me there's one of my favourite Rory songs is Follow Me from the studio album Top Priority, which I think this album was Stage Struck was the tour of that album, if you see what I mean. But the version of Follow Me on this album is just it's immense. I featured it on my podcast I think either last month or the month before, and it's just a belter of a track from a belter of an album. Rory's at the top of his game on this album, and if you're unfamiliar with it, it's definitely worth checking out, so go and do it. Next.
The Chronicles of Modern Life by Henry Priestman.
Yes, indeed, another album that I would have missed out on entirely if I hadn't happened to see the TV ad for this. So who exactly is Henry Priestman? Well, he's an ex-member of a band that were big for about 5 years or so in the late 80s, early 90s. Anyone remember the Christians? Songs like Ideal World and Forgotten Town. They had a few hits and then just sort of evaporated. I'm not entirely sure what came from, what came of them. But this guy, Henry Priestman, was a member of that band, and an interesting little bit of trivia that I picked up about this album is that when it was picked up by a major label, I think in 2008, he was in his 50s, and he is apparently the oldest artist ever signed to a major label for a debut album. So there you go. What's the album about then? Well, it's simply observations on modern life from the viewpoint of a 50-something-year-old man. and I can't think why that resonates with me at all, can you? But just the acutely observed and humorous lyrics on this album are what will sell it to you. I mean, for instance, there's a song on here called Old, and the chorus has a line in it where it goes something like, "And when I try to make some sense of it, the laughter takes a hold. I'm the same age that my father was when I first thought he was old." That's just poetic, isn't it? Isn't that just brilliant? And there's other songs. I mean, there's one called The Idiot, where he's talking about, or singing about rather, this species of tiger is endangered, and that species of bat is, on the verge of extinction. But hey, the idiot is doing fine, and from there on comes the humour of the song. There's loads of great, heartwarming, funny, acutely observed, as I said, just brilliant lyrics on this album. And the other thing, of course, that you can have all the cleverest lyrics in the world, but without a good, catchy tune to drive them along, it doesn't really grab you. And I have to tell you that this album is absolutely full of great, catchy tunes. So it's well worth checking out for that alone. But the lyrics, just listen to them and just be impressed as I was. So that's that one, The Chronicles of Modern Life by Henry Priestman. What's next?
Live in the Air Age by Bebop Deluxe.
Yes, indeed. Live in the Air Age by Bebop Deluxe. A band who, I don't know why, but for some reason seem to be not really included in the official Nostalgia Industries recollections of, classic 70s rock, which I think is a shame. Their studio albums, if you're not familiar with them, go and check out Sunburst Finish or Modern Music. Two great albums. The thing you'll notice about those studio albums, if you have them or if you're just going to go and check them out, is that they are absolutely meticulously recorded, kind of very, very polished sounding. And this live album, which is named after a song on, I think it's Sunburst Finish. There's a song on there called Life in the Air Age. So when they came to do a live album, they called it Live in the Air Age. All of the songs that are on this album that, differ from their meticulous, polished studio versions by being brasher and raw and just more full of energy, I would say, and all the better for it. This album as a live rock album, I think, is up there with Alchemy or Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy or any of the great rock live albums that often get a lot of recognition that this one also, I think, deserves. And standout track on here is the 8-minute long version of Adventures in a Yorkshire Landscape. Some utterly sublime guitar playing on there, which I think makes the case, if ever it needed making, that Bill Nelson was, or is, I should say, one of the great rock guitarists and deserves a lot more recognition. And you could do a lot worse than checking him out on this album, Live in the Air Age. Next.
In a Silent Way by Miles Davis.
Okay, now I was in two minds whether to include this album because it is a well-known album and it is a very, very influential album. But I'll tell you why I included it in a moment. But let's just kind of get the stats out of the way. It came out in 1969. And when you consider that this was just 10 short years after Miles recorded Kind of Blue, and you think about the evolution from, Kind of Blue up to this album, that in itself is staggering. You've got Miles, obviously, on trumpet, Wayne Shorter on soprano sax, John McLaughlin on guitar, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock and Joe Zanuol on keyboards, Dave Holland on bass and Tony Williams on drums. And this album marked the beginning of a new era for Miles, his electric era. Probably the start of what you would call, kind of fusion stuff that he began to put out. When Miles's electric era is spoken about, people always seem to talk about the album which came subsequent to this, Bitches Brew. But I think this is a better album. I really, really do. It's just warmer sounding. It's more melodic. and it just hangs together better for me. I just think the performances are just outstanding on this album, and I just think it needs a little bit of a bump in its profile, to kind of get up there and maybe overtake Bitches Brew as being seen as, the definitive album for that period of Miles's career. It's basically, the way it was recorded, rough sketches of tunes were kind of brought into the studio, and then everybody would just start riffing on them and, evolving them and, kind of jamming, basically. It is essentially little more than one long continuous jam split into two sections. And it's a fantastic album. What I like about this album is that it's a great album to stick the headphones on, close your eyes, have a glass of something calming and amber at your side, and just immerse yourself in the music. And it's a very, very rewarding experience for doing that. But you can also take it as just like a backdrop if you want. If I'm kind of getting my head into a good book or something, I will put this album on just as, background music, and it very much aids the concentration process. I used to use this album back when I was at college in the 80s to listen to when I was revising for exams and stuff. It's a fantastic album, and every time I listen to it, I do hear something new in there, and I think that's always the mark of a great recording. So there you go. Those are my 5 sleeper albums that I'm recommending you check out today. As I said earlier, there are excerpts or tracks from all of those albums right down there in the description box, so go and check them out. And that's pretty much it for today, folks, other than to mention the Fret Zealot giveaway. As you know, I've got a couple of my courses now available on the Fret Zealot app, Play Lead Guitar the Easy Way and Making the Modes Easy. Both of those courses, as I say, are available on the Fret Zealot app, and to celebrate, we're giving away a Fret Zealot. And if you want to be in with a chance of winning a Fret Zealot, all you got to do is make a donation to Zoe's Place Baby Hospice, which is a charity in Middlesbrough, which does absolutely fantastic work with very seriously ill young children. Make a donation to them, make it £5 or more, then screenshot your receipt, send it to me to this email address you can see on screen, and that's it. You're entered into the draw. I will be picking a winner on May the 7th and announcing who that lucky person is very shortly thereafter. And if you don't win, never fear. If you fancy a Fret Zealot, you can get one a little bit cheaper thanks to this discount code you can see on screen right now. Just use the discount code and use the link in the description to make your purchase. The link to donate to Zoe's Place is also down there, by the way. Just use the discount code, make your purchase, and you'll get a little bit of money knocked off thanks to yours truly. You're welcome. And that's it for today, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Don't forget the live stream on Friday, 5 p.m. UK time. We have a beer, we have a chat, we have a laugh. It's great fun. I hope to see you there. And above all, folks, stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. And I'll see you all again next time around. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.